Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. Today's guest is Susie Bills. Susie is an anti-aging lifestyle expert and certified Primal health coach. She's been involved in the health and wellness industry for over 25 years. Susie had a myriad of health issues once she turned 40. She was able to completely transform her health, fitness, and hormonal imbalances utilizing the power of clean food, appropriate hormonal supplementation, and healthy lifestyle choices. Susie believes that it is time for a shift. The paradigm we are currently associating with aging is outdated and, quite frankly, depressing. She works with women who are ready to embrace the shift and age a new way, healthy, happy, and sexy. Her passion is to educate and empower women to be and feel fabulous at any age. Now, you guys, I am going to at some point put her before and after photo up from a year and a half ago, and this will motivate you so much to embrace our topic today, that we can age in a whole new way when we have the right information and the tools we need to empower ourselves and, quite frankly, release this old notion that aging has to be anything less than sexy. And without further ado, I want to welcome the one and the only Susie Bills to the show.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. And this is one of my favorite topics, just because I really believe that we don't have to be walking around in bodies that we're less than proud of at any age.
Right. And feeling bad, right?
Right.
Gosh, I was told at the age of 40, well, you feel bad because you're just getting old. And I was like, I'm 40. Like, what does that even mean? Wait a minute, stop. But I think that's common for women to hear and accept.
Yeah. And I really want to dive into your whole story about what kind of shift and mindset and what woke you up to the fact that you could change your life from where you were to where you are now.
Okay. Yeah. So around the age of 40, well, let me back up just a little bit. So most of my life, I've been, my adult life, in health and fitness and love everything all around that. And so around the age of 40, 41, I started just not feeling like myself. I gained a little weight. I was exhausted most of the time. I would wake up exhausted, which is bizarre after sleeping all night. And I just knew that something was wrong. And, so I went to my doctor, and he ran some blood tests and said, well, everything's fine. I think you're just getting, it's your age. And I was like, well, that is horrible. But I knew inside that something wasn't right. So I asked him to, if were there other tests he could do, what did he recommend? And he kind of just said, well, I can give you an antidepressant, which is not anything that I wanted. I was already tired and having a hard time of it. But that was kind of what I realized, was that was the answer that my regular MD had for me. And for women, because they don't really have an understanding of, what to do for us when we come in, and we're talking about, several different things, depression, weight gain, maybe no libido, just all these things that happen that are actually all happening because of our hormonal things that are changing during perimenopause, rather than they're just separate things happening and they'll give you a pill for each one. So I knew that wasn't for me. And I started to just do research. I knew something was wrong. I figured, well, I got to figure it out on my own. And so I delved into alternative medicine. Naturopath is where I started, a naturopathic doctor, which was amazing and very eye-opening for me, because I was like, oh, there is a different way. There's these whole group of medical professionals that do look for the root cause, and they're not trying to just give me medicine so I go away and, take my Xanax or whatever. So that was very eye-opening. And that's really where I got relief. I had my naturopath ran a full thyroid panel. So typically when you go to your regular doctor, they do a thyroid test, and it's called TSH. But for a lot of women, it's very common for that to come back normal, like mine did. So, but when my naturopath ran the full panel, I had some really bad issues going on. And so finally I was able to go, okay, I'm not crazy, there is really something wrong with me. And then we were able to start working with lifestyle changes, and also some natural thyroid supplementation, which just changed everything. My fatigue was gone. I just, it took me, there was a mind shift at that point within me that like, okay, there's a different way out there. I don't have to accept aging and feeling like crap as part of just the normal way that I'm going to be. Cause I didn't feel, I knew I'm not didn't want that. And I'd seen a lot of people, older ladies, looking good, and so I knew it was out there. I just needed to, find out what I didn't know. So working with a naturopath and a functional medicine doctor, those type of doctors 10 years ago was a little less known. Now it's great because there's a lot of them out there, and they're being talked about a lot more. And actually my naturopath is my primary care doctor as well. So I even get covered by insurance in California. I'm not sure in other states what that's like. But that was a turning point for me. And so that was about 10 years ago. I'll be 50 in a couple months. And I I thought I need to share this information with women because we don't know it. So I started with all my friends. And then they started asking me, what are you doing? And I started sharing that there is a different way out there. And then that just kind of turned into my passion of I can help women with just giving them a little bit of information, and it can change the trajectory of their life going forward, how they feel, how they look, how they think about themselves, their relationships with their husbands. I mean, it's really turned into life-changing for a lot of women. So I'm thankful every day that I get to come on shows like this and chat about it. Let people know about it.
For those of you that are just tuning in, we're talking about the transformation that Susie Bills had. This is 10 years ago on the left, you said?
This was actually a year and a half ago.
Oh, year and a half ago. So, right. Like,
so
no. You aged in reverse. You went backwards.
So 10 years ago, I struggled with the thyroid, and then that's when I got help with that. And then now that I was closer to 50, in this picture, I had some perimenopausal things happen and had to further investigate on bioidentical hormone replacement, human growth hormone, things like that. And that's where this transformation came in, because I kind of backpedaled a little because I at the age of 48 started having imbalances because of menopause, like serious menopause coming close. So I've actually had a couple transformations where it has made me delve deeper into alternative medicine to keep finding what's going on. So yeah, this was August of 2017.
Okay, so I'm sure right now many of our listeners and women out there and women in the future that are going to see this, hear this, are going to be amazed, and they're going to be believers. I'm always preaching this stuff in my studio and on my podcast and when I speak at events and through my books. You can totally make the change. It's really just about doing the homework, doing the research, having the tools that, I think you have to believe that you can make a change as well. And just looking at this picture would make anyone a believer in what you're talking about today. What are some of the biggest tips that you took away from your naturopath that aided you in this transformation?
Well, first I'll just touch on kind of what you talked about really, or just mentioned, was the mindset, right? So you have to, everything starts in our mind, right? So if your mind's not right, nothing's going to happen. So really, you know, for a lot of people, a lot of women, especially because we're busy, we're doing things for the kids and work, and we don't really set aside time for ourselves. So
Yes.
it's super important to kind of move yourself up on the priority list, because lifestyle changes and mindset work and things like that require a little bit of time, you know, on your part every day. So I think when I work with women, usually the first thing that we work on isn't what they need to eat or how they need to move. It's their mindset and how are they going to make time to make themselves a little bit more important. Otherwise, nothing else I teach them or help them with is going to happen or matter, because it's not going to happen. So that's my number one tip. And a lot of times when I start working with women, they're kind of surprised because they're coming to me for one thing, which is I want to get my body back or whatever. And I'm like, let's talk about your mindset. And do you work
It's
on
the
your
most
mindset?
important. It
Right?
guides the whole ship. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. So that's definitely the number one tip. And then with my naturopath, I love that they work on finding the root cause of what's happening. So you go in with a symptom, I feel like crap, I can't sleep, you know, whatever that is. And instead of like, okay, well, here is this for sleeping and this for, you know, depression, we're going to find out why it's happening and we're going to fix that. So that was a very different shift in how I had, you know, grown up dealing with doctors and the medical world. And I remember thinking, well, that makes so much sense, right? Then I can get rid of the problem instead of just covering it up. And then the third thing I would say is that so first, okay, mindset, and then lifestyle habits, finding out what the problem is. But sometimes there is an appropriate time for hormone replacement. Or, and I'll say bioidentical hormone replacement, or, you know, if there is a medication needed, sometimes there is a reason for a prescription medication. So it's not an all or nothing thing, but the main, which can kind of be, at first when I went to the naturopath, I was like, okay, great. And I'm not going to take any medicine. And I'm not, you know, this is kind of my mindset. Like I went from, they're not helping me, so I'm going to do the total opposite over here. And there's actually, you know, a blending that can go on. And also I learned about bioidentical hormones versus synthetic hormones that a regular.
Why do you like the bioidentical better?
Well, so they're bioidentical to what your body produces. Okay, so they are recognized by your body as just a normal part of what's going on. Now, synthetic hormones, which are the ones that you hear about in the news, right? I don't want to say any names.
The ones that most traditional doctors use.
Yes, yeah, and there's been a lot of studies, and there was a huge study they had that they stopped early because women were having horrible side effects with them, and doctors, they didn't stop prescribing them, but they changed the way that they prescribe them. They're like, you can use it to get you through this little, you know, time of uncomfortableness until you're in menopause, and then, you know. So bioidentical is safe. It's been around. People think it's new because you don't hear a lot about it, but it's been around for over like 50 years. There's tons of studies. It's made specifically in a lab for you.
Right.
So it's customized. It's not a one size fits all. And it has great, it can be so helpful for women. And men, actually. Men have, you know, they have their issues too. So,
right.
Yeah. I mean, my husband and I.
It's not just women.
Exactly. And we have testosterone too, ladies. That always surprises a lot of ladies. So those were kind of the things that I learned just by, you know, opening up getting my information from somewhere else. So I learned a lot from that, but also I don't want to sound, I know it can sound like I'm downing conventional doctors. I'm not. I think they're great and there's a place for what they do. But I think for women going through, you know, perimenopause and that whole thing, I just think it's really not understood and taught just in conventional medicine. And it's interesting what's going on during our bodies that time. So to find somebody that understands it is just, I think is the way to go. Definitely.
And I have to say this, but if you feel sexier, you're going to have more sex.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's just right. I mean, you're going to feel, when you're frumping around and you are bloated and feel fat, whatever, you're not, And you know what? Your husband's probably not that excited about it either. And my husband is on bioidentical testosterone as well, because he had his, now we go to the same doctor and they tested him, and, men have that same, they don't call it perimenopause, they call it andropause, but your husbands are going through it too.
Yes.
Definitely.
A little bit more than I think what they say percentage wise.
Right. And we're just a more complex because we have more hormones going on, and men, it's pretty much their testosterone and HGH. So, yeah.
I still remember when I started turning a certain age, you have this preset conception of what aging is. And I thought, I guess I'm 50. I need to embrace going to, I always started to say the brand name. I'm not going to say it. A certain store that was for women my age. So I went in the store and I tried the clothes on, and I was like, not happening.
I can't do it. I gotta go.
I can't do it. I'm like, this is like wearing a sack. It is not even complimentary to you.
Right.
So then I went back to the store I generally went to that sells juniors clothes.
They're like, hey.
Bought a pair of hot shorts, and I said, that's it. I'm just not making the transition.
Right. I'm gonna wear my hot pants forever. That's awesome. I love that.
So I just didn't. I was like, I guess I broke some kind of aging rule as well.
Right. Good for you. I like it.
So let's talk about some of these preconceived notions, because we all have them. I think some of the common fears is, I'm getting older. I have to dress a certain way. I have to cut my hair because I'm older. Right. I'm not going to be sexy. Nobody's going to want me because I'm older. I'm just going to say it out there. These are fears that we all worry about at some point. I'm not going to be relevant or needed, or, all these things. We're worried about them. Now, help me dispel some of these myths. And if you have a few of your own, go ahead and add them to the list.
Yeah. Well, I also think that one of those that plays in with that is, for a lot of women, we have put ourselves, or let's see, how should I say this? We have raised our kids, and that's kind of been our identity, right? Raising the kids and, doing everything around with that. The kids go away, like my son went to college.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
So that can be a hard time. Right. So, and you're thinking, wait a minute, okay, what does that mean for me? So a lot of women kind of don't know what to do with that.
It's emotional.
And then you think, oh, I guess I'm old. I have a kid in college. Okay. I guess I'm okay now. Oh, I guess I should, then it kind of goes into like what you said. I guess my hair's kind of long. I noticed we both have long hair. So things like that, but I think that can kind of be a starting point for women to kind of go, wait a second. But it's also a great
reawakening
starting point for women, that are like, wait a minute, maybe it's time for me to do something for myself. So it does coincide well with perimenopause, because you can reinvent yourself. You can do these things, and if you're getting your hormones balanced the way they're supposed to, and having great lifestyle habits, I mean, you can turn yourself into anything you want. A lot of people start new careers. They start, I have a lot of friends that have started online businesses. I mean, exciting stuff that they never would have thought of or done prior to their kids going away, and prior to making sure that their hormones are balanced so they feel well. That's kind of the key.
I think it's now, who am I now? Because I mean, I just recently went through this. My youngest got an apartment. I felt like he was on a virtual vacation the whole time he was in college, because we see him every couple months, right?
So exactly.
It wasn't like he was gone, because he was going to be back any day. So I
Right.
didn't really deal with it until just a couple months ago when he moved in his apartment. Oh my gosh, I can't
Wow.
even tell you the emotions surrounding it. So I had an empty nest
Yeah.
interview. So you have
Oh,
to check
okay.
that
Okay,
out. Two
perfect.
interviews ago. Yes, with
Okay.
Melissa Schmitz or Schultz, sorry.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, it was pretty amazing. So we talked about some of this. And I think the thing is once you realize that that was just a chapter, well, it was quite, maybe it was a novel and now you're ready to write another novel.
Okay.
And
I like
that, you know, that doesn't mean life is over. Life, that part of life is over, but
right.
now a whole new chapter or a whole new book is beginning. I
Right.
think
Right. Right.
approaching it that way really helps you to compartmentalize it a little bit.
And that sounds exciting, right? That's like, oh, a new chapter or a new book.
Right.
That's a great mindset, right? Rather than like, oh, what do I do now? Everybody's gone, you know.
Well, you
So I
do
like
feel that
yeah,
at first, like, oh my
you
gosh,
do.
everybody's leaving, everyone's gone. I miss my kids. I was just
I
like, what am
know.
I supposed to do?
How many do you have?
3.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. I just gotta have the one, but yeah, so that's a great time for women to be able to, you know, gosh, spend a little time thinking about maybe something they've always wanted to do, or
Right.
do they have a creative side of them that they have never really been able to tap into, and things like that. So I think it's a great time for women. And like you kind of touched on in the intro, the paradigm of aging that we're just all used to, and I mean, walk outside and you see it everywhere, is, you know, gosh, people just feeling bad, looking old and frail. That's a huge thing that happens. And a lot of that is because your hormones go away, and those help keep your bones and everything strong. And, you know, I live here in Mexico, so half of the year, there's snowbirds that come here. So half the year, there's a lot of old people here. And it's interesting just to see. I mean, you can just look at them and you can tell who is proactively, you know, aging a new way, right? Or the ones that are just going with it. It is like, it's night and day. So
It is a night and day difference.
yes. And it's just, there's a lot of people that just don't even know there's a different way. They don't even know. They just, you know, I'm getting old. That's what happens. How many times do you hear, you know, you'll hear someone say, oh, my knees hurt. Well, I'm just, you know, I'm 50. Like that's, my knees are going to hurt, or I can't, you know, I can't work out anymore because I'm old, you know. I'm always like, wait a minute, stop saying that. But it's very,
a bad confession.
common.
It's a bad confession. I just don't think I think you can age without being old. I know that sounds kind of like an odd thing to say, but my father was 86 years old and never old. Like he was 86.
Exactly.
And he was never old a day in his life. He even thought of himself. He would say he was a young man. He would say, you know, he never thought of himself as old, and he never acted old. He would get down and play with my kids down on the floor, and just full life and fun and vitality. And I really feel like, we're going to say it again, it's all mindset. You have to train your mind the way to think, and the things you say to yourself. Instead of saying I'm old, find a new way to talk to yourself, you know?
Right. Because those things that we say to ourselves out loud, but also subconsciously, you know, there's like a tape playing in there. So
that's the worst tape.
You know, and if you believe that and think that, it's playing 24/7. I'm old. Or a big one with weight for people is, oh, I'm fat. Like that will always play in their brain, and you're not even conscious to it.
Right.
So, you know, you have to consciously change those thoughts so you can build those new neural pathways. So these older ones can kind of just, you know, fade into the background. So I always work with my girls and say, you know, when if you look in the mirror and you think, oh God, I'm so fat. Okay. That's a common thing, right? So, look at yourself and say stop or change, and then say the opposite. Like, I'm healthy and strong. Every cell in my body is healthy and whole, or what, something positive, right? So you're taking that negative when you realize it and changing it right there on the spot. And we're going to build some new neural pathways. So eventually the tape that's playing subconsciously is that you're healthy and all your cells are strong and you're whatever that is that you keep saying to yourself, you can build that into your subconscious and start living that way versus those old tapes.
Yeah,
so that's
because what you believe
super
about
important.
yourself is key.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So yeah.
So let's top onto this next topic.
Okay.
Belly fat and
right.
menopause, and why is it important that we don't just let it hang out?
Right.
That we don't keep the fat. Why is that important? Why is it important to get rid of it?
Yeah, well, for a lot of women, they'll notice that you used to gain weight differently when you were younger, right? We used to kind of gain it all over usually, right? But as we get older and insulin becomes an issue, and I'll explain a little bit about that, but and our hormones start to change. We start to, when we do have an excess, it starts to happen in the middle here, okay? So in the belly and the thighs and that type of thing. So you'll see women and men that can kind of look more like they're pregnant almost, but like with thinner legs. That's this middle fat here, but it's also inside your body and around your organs, which can be really dangerous. So I'll just give a quick little lesson here for anybody that doesn't quite understand what's happening. But when you eat food, your body turns it in, and this is going to be a very basic overview. So it's not super scientifically accurate, but this is a picture that I think most people will understand. So you eat food and it turns into blood sugar, okay? And then so you have blood sugar or glucose in your veins, and your pancreas then puts out insulin, and insulin's job is to come in and take the blood sugar out of the blood and take that energy and store it in your muscles and your liver. So that's how it's supposed to work when everything's doing what it's supposed to do. Now, when we eat processed carbohydrates, so most things in a box or a bag, lots of sugar, things like that, our blood sugar gets really, really high, really fast. And so the pancreas does its job. It puts out the insulin. Insulin comes in and sweeps it out of the blood. But let's say because you are constantly eating carbohydrates and lots of sugar, your liver and your muscles are already full. So what happens is insulin is now called the fat storage hormone, and its job is to store that fat on your body. So that's where it stores it. And the side kicker of that is that in the presence of insulin, your body can't burn fat. So not only are you adding more fat, but even if you have some days where you're eating less calories and you're working out and it's not opening up and letting the fat burn as well. So it's like a combination. And that's why women will gain weight and they think, wow, that happened like really fast. Where did that come from? And it's because there's a couple things going on. And then the third part of that is we used to think that fat was just inert. And when you gained it, it just sat on your body, right? And hung out until you burned it off or whatever. Didn't pay too much attention to it. Now we know that it actually produces hormones. So and especially in estrogen. So not only are you having crazy hormones because you're in perimenopause, but now this outside source, your body fat, is creating excess estrogen. So now you're just pretty much screwed. Now you've had super high estrogen, which makes everything just, out of balance. And what I like to kind of give the example is hormones are kind of like a symphony and everything plays along beautifully, homeostasis. And when one of them gets out of balance, everything else goes to crap. So that's kind of the three-pronged reason why you're gaining the belly fat, you can't lose it, and why it's dangerous. Because a lot of it, like I mentioned before, will get stored internally, which is around your organs inside of you. So that can be really dangerous, especially when it's producing hormones and just, for the health of your organs, they can't work properly, including your heart, your liver, with fat around it. literally fat is like encasing your organs, that's where the dangerous, heart disease, diabetes, all these things, cancer, can really, really start happening. We call it, we say, well, those are like things that happen as you get old because you're getting old. But the reason is because your hormones are out of balance. You have extra fat doing crazy things. The reason isn't because you're getting old. It's because you are, your lifestyle habits are poor, and you are not paying attention to hormonal imbalances and just really not taking care of yourself. But we just think, since it's on the out, I use the example of like when people smoke, they can't see their lungs, so they don't really know what's happening inside. So it's kind of that same thing. Since we don't know and we can't see what's happening inside, we don't think it's that big of a deal for our health. And it really, really is. So that extra 10 or 20 or 15 pounds you have in your gut area, it doesn't just look not super great. It actually has some detrimental effects on your health. So it's super important to try to, find out what you can do. Lifestyle habits, huge, right? Those will help immensely. But at some point you might also need to get a little hormone balancing going on to actually keep things the way they're supposed to be, inside and out.
And I'm a huge believer, you're talking about the insulin. I talk all the time to women about, on my plans and in my book, The Sweat Project, and the Sisterhood of Sweat, about lowering your glycemic index and the foods you eat, how much that keeps everything at bay. If you're eating high sugar foods, high processed foods, white flours, pastas, white rice, sugar, artificial sweeteners, too much alcohol could be a culprit. And also too much coffee, because coffee will spike your blood sugar, and that's what you have, that crash you crave. Then you go up. So it's like this vicious cycle. So the more insulin you have, the more you're spiking that insulin level, the more fat you're going to carry.
Exactly. Yeah. And just, and understanding that it's more dangerous than you think. It's not just aesthetic issues. It's can really create.
Yeah. Cause a lot of times we're like, well, I'm healthy,
Right.
Yeah. Right.
If we could see what's really going on inside, we all have a lot of different habits.
We would all change.
I know.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. You can't really see what's going on inside.
Right.
So it's easier to lie to yourself.
Right. Exactly.
Until your pants are too tight. Then you're like,
then it's a problem.
You're like freaking out.
Especially if they're from that store you went to, right? You want the fun store, not the old lady store.
Yeah. You don't want hot pants if you're feeling like, wait, how am I going to put everything in there?
Right.
I know. Well, secretly, we all want to wear hot pants.
I know, forever. Absolutely. That should be a quote or a saying or a meme or something.
I think so. Wow. Well, I mean, really, getting rid of this belly fat. I hear surgeons all the time talking about how hard it is to operate on someone when they need a surgery, when they have tons of visceral fat, which is fat underneath the fat, because they can't even get to your organs.
Right. Oh gosh, that's horrible. Yeah. I hadn't really heard of, but that makes sense. Yep. Yeah. If you need some type of surgery and they can't get to it very easily, that's a problem. Yeah.
So there's all kinds of health risks. And I just think when you're chasing health and you're really getting into that whole mindset, it's a self-care thing. It's placing importance upon yourself. And when you're doing that, all the other things come.
Right. Versus wanting to get skinny, right? There's a lot of a lot of the women that come to me, they say, I want to get skinny. And I'm like, okay, first of all, let's not use the word skinny. let's reframe that. You want to lose some fat, get healthy. But if you are just thinking about, losing weight as fast as you can, and kind of that diet mentality of starving yourself and low calories and exercising more, that's not how it's going to work.
Not in menopause, it doesn't.
When you're young, okay, great, right? We've probably all done that. But that it doesn't work anymore as you get older because of the hormone situation that's going on. So now it's all, you still need to, of course, watch what you're eating and how much and things like that. But it's I just had a conversation with a girlfriend of mine who's been doing really great. She's lost 15 pounds just through changing some of her lifestyle habits, but now she's at a plateau. And so I had to have the talk with her about, okay, because she said, should I exercise more and eat less? I said, well, what are you going to do? Eventually eat nothing? Like, she's already, I said,
right.
We need to work, right. And you can only do that for so long.
Right.
And then, so we had to have the insulin talk, and she was like, what? Like, she had no idea. So we kind of set her on a different path. But so it's very common to still think that just getting skinny is the goal, where really skinny is not healthy. You don't want to be skinny fat, and you don't want to be skinny and frail, right? You want to be lean and strong and sexy. So
there you go. And I just really think taking charge of your health is empowering you, which being empowered makes you feel sexy all on its own. And then and vibrant. And when you start really embracing that, it's just taking care of you. Like I had an injury, and as I've been coming back, I've had a whole new mindset. I've thought about my food as fuel to help myself heal, to make my body strong. I've been eating clean carbs, and also just really watching my water intake, stretching, doing all these things instead of getting, because there was, of course, weight gain when you're not allowed to exercise for 4 months, because I had to have my hamstring reattached. So they want the muscle to adhere to the bone. So so I had to really wrap my mind around, okay, this is a process, and I want to be strong, and I want to be healthy. And
don't freak out.
I have to release old mindsets that I had, which probably brought me to that point. I was driving myself too hard, and I had to embrace new mindsets. Okay, where do we go from here? What can I do now moving forward? And it is going to be a little slow at first. And, so the things like that stuff happens, right?
Yep.
So I think just knowing that being strong, fit, and healthy is the way to go at any age.
Exactly. And it will, I always say to people, don't you want to be able to get, like you kind of talked about your dad, get on the ground and play with your grandkids. Like, number one, you want to be around for them. So I think also it's great for people to kind of tap into why, okay, if you're not thinking, I'm going to do it for myself, which is of course great, but sometimes there's outside, like you want to be around for your family. You want to be around for your grandkids. You don't want to be, a burden to them. You want to be part of a vibrant family and things like that. So it's good if people are having a little bit of a problem kind of getting started to maybe think about why you want to do it. Of course, self-care and making nobody wants disease or anything like that, but, just keeping those whys, I guess you'd call it, at the forefront can help people get started, because that's always the hardest part is getting started. And people always think it's such a big, like, I have to do this, a whole list of things.
Well, they get comfortable being the way they are. They get comfortable with the belly, because you get comfortable. And I think sometimes it's good to get a little uncomfortable in that way, and just realize, if I don't get a little uncomfortable and sweat and push myself to work out, then I'm going to be really uncomfortable in my clothes. I'm not going to be able to get up and down off the ground the way I want to. I'm not going to be able to have quality of life the way I want to. So to have that comfort, I got to be a little uncomfortable.
Yes.
I have to push myself a little bit.
Yes. Yes. And that's a great reminder. That's actually, I'm going to use that. That's a really good, because it is easy to get comfortable. And yeah, I like that. You're going to have to get a little uncomfortable in order for change. Cause that's part of it, with anything.
Right.
Yeah. So that's great.
Right. And when you first cut out the sugar, it's going to be uncomfortable.
It's going to be very uncomfortable. You're not going to probably be happy.
That chocolate's going to be like, come over here, sweetheart. I got some chocolate for you.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And you touched on it, the alcohol. For a lot of people
love that alcohol.
Like that wine or whatever can be a problem, at first. So yeah.
I have an episode on that too called Sober.
Oh, you do? What's it called?
Called Sober School. How to have a life you don't want to numb out from.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we're able to talk about this and get information out to women. Again, I think a lot of women don't even know there's a different way. So I love it when people will go like, well, what do you mean? Tell me, what do you mean? That's not just the way it is. Or I can help my hormones. I just figured I'm going through menopause like my mom did or whatever. I had a friend tell me the other day that she said, my mom was crazy going through menopause and I don't want to be like that, and so that was kind of her. She saw, what she thinks menopause is and didn't want any part of that.
Well,
so
it can be that way when you're a teenager because, anytime there's a change and a transition, it can be a little rough without a help from, some bioidentical hormones, a good diet, some exercise. You got to have something to help you transition.
Right. And, and diet, exercise, mindset, like we talked about, always the foundation for anything, right? Before you go to a doctor and say, I need hormones or always get those pieces in place first, because a lot can be accomplished with just lifestyle changes. And they don't really cost you anything. And a lot can be
and there's not all these side effects either.
Yeah. And then eventually if you need a little something else, then there's other things out there. But I guess it's that quick fix mentality. So health and longevity, takes a little, it's an ongoing, you're not just going to do a few things and then have it one day. It's an ongoing process like anything. You're always going to be striving to eat better and to, work on your mindset because you're always at a different level. So once you get through, okay, now I know how to cook really well and I started an exercise program, well, you've evolved and you're kind of a different person. So now you can move on to bigger and better things. So it's always a process, always the evolution.
Each block is a stepping stone to the next level of where you want to be. And let's get to the gold and platinum,
right
level instead of down here at the, the lead or,
right. Aluminum or something.
Copper, I'm just saying like down a little. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And really, if you, I also say this all the time, you can be a completely different person in 1 year's time. It doesn't have to be this big, like you think it's going to take forever. Like a year is a long time.
It's just consistent habits.
A little habit change and you follow through every day. By the end of a year, you can be a completely different person. Mindset, body, all kinds of different things. And it doesn't have to be such this all or nothing mentality. So because then a lot of people end up doing nothing. They choose nothing. Right. And that's the problem. So,
when it's all or nothing, soon it's nothing. That's for sure.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, with all of this, we have people out here that some of their symptoms we haven't even talked about. You could be losing hair. You could lose hair on your head, or like I lost all my arm hair. I had very little to begin with, but one day I woke up and I remember, okay, I'm going to just say this. One night I woke up, I felt like every hair on my body was standing up on end, like someone stuck me into a light socket, like, zzz, you know. And I was like, oh my gosh, what was that? I'm forever changed.
What was that?
I think it was like me moving into menopause. And then I'm telling you, all of my arm hairs were gone.
Really? Well, how about up here? Did you thin anywhere else?
Yeah,
no.
Just here. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, back when I was in my 40s, when I started struggling with thyroid, that was one of the things. So with thyroid issues, thinning of the hair is a symptom for a lot of women, and it's a bummer, especially if you're starting with not that much hair. It can make a huge difference. It does get better with the majority of people when they get their thyroids back in check. So that is something. But if your hair is thinning, if you're exhausted, if you have that foggy brain where you're trying to talk and you just can't think of what the words, you can't remember a word or can't remember where you just put your keys at 5 minutes ago. So that foggy kind of thing, and extreme fatigue. These are all symptoms of hypothyroidism. And hair loss is like a lot of the times the number one reason that women go to their doctor, because it's like coming out. So it is good to know that it does reverse very, very commonly.
Well, sometimes it can be due to heavy metals, because the heavy metals will slow down your thyroid like that.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So, and see, heavy metals would be something that, as far as I know, that a conventional doctor wouldn't even probably have a conversation with you. They have no, so that's where a naturopath or a functional medicine doctor.
Right. I went to
test for that.
Yeah, that's what I went to. And I had mercury poisoning.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So that's huge. As soon as we started chelating that out, I got a whole new like energy level, body, all of it, because I was exhausted before that, because I had high mercury levels, high toxicity.
Yes, that's a whole nother, I'm sure you've done a show on that probably, because that's a whole nother topic is toxicity from everything, that can, like you said, like you had all those symptoms, and it can really mess with all your hormones. It can mess with everything. So that's another, yeah.
That's why it's important to pay attention to what you're feeling and not just discard it. Because what I was feeling, I would say to my husband every weekend, I feel like I'm being poisoned. I would feel that by the end of the weekend. I would say, I feel like I'm being poisoned.
Wow.
And I was so tired. I thought it was from competing or the competition diet. But when I wasn't competing anymore and I wasn't on that competition diet, I was still feeling that way. And then I finally went to the right doctor who tested me. He tested my blood. He tested hair analysis. He ran all the important tests. And that's when we found it. And I'm telling you, the first day I went to him, after being on all his protocol, I almost cried in the office when I told him, I am not tired. I don't have to take a nap in the middle of the day, because it was the first time I felt good.
And that gives me the chills, because I understand what you're talking about. When you feel bad, so bad, and then you finally figure out how, you get feeling well again. It is life-changing. And when you're talking about it to people, sometimes they think that sounds dramatic. Like when I say, for me, balancing my hormones was life-changing. But for those of us that have done it, that's exactly what it is. So like what you said, you thought you were being poisoned.
Yeah,
that's how bad you felt.
Yeah.
So once you get through that to the other side, that's life-changing.
It was life-changing. Awesome. I remember I got so choked up. As I started to tell him, it was the first day that I didn't feel tired, And I remember my breaking point was when a realtor came to the house, and I don't know what we were doing with our house. We were transitioning in some way, and I was so tired. It was first thing in the morning. I could not wait for him to leave so I could just lay my head down on the table. And I'm thinking, I had a full night's sleep. I don't know what is wrong with me, but I'm so tired. I don't know what to do. And that's what it was my breaking point of what sent me searching for a holistic doctor. And that was my salvation. It was my salvation, because I wouldn't have the Sisterhood of Sweat, I wouldn't have this brand new boutique that's opening, a podcast, books, workouts, competition, because I had no energy to do it.
I was going to say you would have been in bed, so that none of that would have happened.
I was so tired. I just wanted to sleep, and I didn't know what was wrong with me.
Yeah, that is so interesting. So that's something I'm going to have to keep that in my mind too when I talk to women, you know, because that's something that even I don't like really think about, but that is a huge problem. Yeah. And is it from toxic, like lotion? Like where did you get all the mercury from?
So, well, it could be a number of sources, and it could be your teeth. Like I had mercury fillings, and back then they put them under the gum. They were under the gum in the back, my old fillings. And it was leaching into they were decaying and you couldn't see it on the x-ray. So sulfuric mercury was leaching into my bloodstream. That's the most toxic substance, first of all.
Okay.
And then on my diet, my coach had recommended that I eat nothing but fish. And that was it was the highest mercury fish.
Of course. Of course. So you were just like mainlining it.
We got it here, we got it there. And then I've also heard that breast implants, certain types of breast implants, you can get mercury from that. So
interesting. Okay.
It could be, I had my fillings abated by a biological dentist, because you want to be careful how you have those taken out, because all that mercury bust right on in if you're taking it out the wrong way. And that was huge. I felt immediately better. And then of course I chelated with an oral chelation.
Okay.
Zeolites basically is what we use that because it's a more gradual process. It's safer.
Right.
And having chelation, which can have, that could have some harmful side effects. But I'm just saying all these things that I did personally, myself, it was huge. It was life-changing. I felt like I got my life back at 50.
Right, which is awesome.
And I'm 56 now.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Wow. Gosh, look at you. Ladies, everybody look at what 56 looks like. Yay. When you age, it's a different way, when you're proactively aging is what I like to call it, instead of just going with it, right? You can be however you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think it's having a good feeling about getting older. You can feel good about it versus feeling terrible about it.
Right.
What would you choose? You want to feel terrible or you want to feel good? I mean, it's making the choice. We are making choices every single day. Almost everything we do is a choice. And it's a choice. If I decide I'm going to eat my organic vegetables versus eating, I don't know, a big thick cheesecake.
Right.
I'm choosing what I want later by choosing now.
Exactly. So it's kind of the big picture, right?
Right.
If you're just living in the moment, sometimes we don't make the best choices. But if you can have that big picture kind of at the forefront of your mind.
Well, how do you want to feel later? How do you want to feel?
Exactly. Yeah. And how do you just want to live your life and show up every day? Because that's, those choices that you make that's how you're going to end up showing up every day. It's pretty simple. It's not easy all the time, but I will say this, there's a lot of information out there and it can be overwhelming for people, right? Because there's so much information if you want to change your diet. There's so much information on everything that it's important to either find what works for you by trying different things out, or finding someone that you resonate with, like the ladies that you work with. I'm sure they work with you because they resonate with everything you say and they love spending time and learning from you. Because if you take in so much information off the internet or whatever, you'll get that analysis paralysis. Confused, and then nothing happens in confusion. Yeah. So I think it's great to find somebody or a podcast or someone you like to watch on live Facebook or whatever that you kind of resonate with, because there's a lot of different people out there.
Tell them about your Facebook page that you've created and what it's for.
Okay, so I just started a new private group on Facebook called The New Way to Age, and it's for ladies exactly like us, okay? So exactly what we're talking about. It's for anti-aging lifestyle tips. I have some programs in there that I do coaching, health coaching around in the group that you have access to when you're in there. And also, I like everybody in there to, voice what they're interested in or voice what they're having problems with. And then I'm going to be bringing in experts and do interviews with people, and maybe we'll do one on heavy metals now that you just brought that up. So I just want it to be a community for women that do want to embrace the new way to age, that shift in how you can age and how you can feel going forward, and that it doesn't have to be that depressing the depressing old way. So yeah, any like-minded woman who wants to get in there and also get some coaching on anti-aging and things like that, I would love, you can find me on Facebook, and I will send you an invitation, and would love to have you as part of the community.
And once again, here is Susie's transformation in a 1.5 years time. This is a big change, and you can even look at her today on the screen and see that she's evolved even from the second picture here on the right. And I know you have a homeopathic HGH, a human growth hormone. Can you tell everybody what that does for you and why yours is unique?
Okay. So yeah, so I am a distributor and a promoter for the HGH gel, and it's human growth hormone gel. It's a transdermal. So what that means is it is a gel that you rub on your skin, and it is the only homeopathic product out there that actually has actual human growth hormone in it, and it's FDA registered. So there's nothing else like it in the world that you can get without a prescription. So if you've heard of HGH before, typically it has to be prescribed by a doctor, and it's very expensive. So a lot of the Hollywood people use it because it's something they have access to, but most of us don't. And I had access to it because my husband and I live in different parts of the world. And I was prescribed it from a doctor when we were living in Panama, and started using it for about a year because I started to have some, it was my second kind of transformation, or my second kind of hormonal issues, because I was getting close to menopause. So it wasn't my thyroid and all of that was still good. But I started again with some fatigue, some weight gain. And the main thing was my libido it disappeared. I've been married to my husband for 30 years. He's awesome. We have a great relationship. And all of a sudden I was just kind of disinterested, which is
right. You had no interest, right? No interest.
I would have rather ate a sandwich or whatever. And so it was, and it happened pretty quickly. So I knew something was up, and I knew it was hormonal.
You're what is wrong with me?
Yeah. So I went to a top doctor there at an anti-aging facility there in Panama. And he did the test on my human growth hormone, and it was low. Now everybody's as low as we age. At about the age of 20, it peaks, and then it just continuously goes down. And most people around the age of 50, you probably have about 60% of what you had when you were in your more youthful 20s and 30s. So I started supplementing with that, and it was fabulous. I was back feeling great in the gym. I had great, when I got out of the gym, I had great energy, because one of the things I noticed is I stopped being excited about going to the gym. So kind of just my well-being, just feeling good and energized and excited about life kind of went away, along with my libido. So human growth hormone plays a role in all of that. So lean body mass, weight, lots of different things that go on just on a cellular level. So for a lot of people, since we're all losing it, if you can just bring those levels up a little bit, you'll start to feel better. And the great thing is that your other hormones, so for us women, right, our estrogens, our testosterone, progesterone, can assimilate from your HGH what they need in order to balance out on their own. So that's an interesting way to kind of get some bioidentical hormone replacement without having to go to a doctor at the beginning and really get all the testing done. And it's kind of like you can try it out a little bit because your body is going to upregulate its own production from your elevated or your increased levels of human growth hormone now. So it's been really interesting, and I use it a lot with ladies that just feel like crap and they want to do something, but they either can't afford right now because sometimes the testing and going to a functional medicine doctor can be pretty pricey. And insurance sometimes, there's that whole thing where insurance sometimes might not cover it. So I use it as a catalyst with my ladies to get them feeling a little better. Just start feeling a little better. It also has thyroid and adrenal support in it. And then from there, we can start, if you feel a little better, you can make different choices. Okay, maybe it's not so hard to go out and go for a walk now. Maybe I can go to
I just witnessed this in my studio. Somebody that wasn't feeling well went to the hormone doctor, started feeling better.
Yeah.
Immediately, she started making different choices. It's like night and day. It's just...
Yeah, because you feel better. You're not, like you said, had to lay your head on the table or whatever. You're not exhausted.
Really? That was the end of it. I was like, okay, something seriously wrong with me besides being a little crazy. Something is seriously wrong.
Right.
So where can we, this is the question on all of our listeners' minds and mine right now. Where can we get the gel, Susie? Where can we get that?
You get it from me. So it's in a network marketing company. So I'm a distributor and I'm happy to get it for anybody that wants it. And that's actually the only place you can get it. You can't get it on Amazon or any of those type of places. And if you see any of it on there, it's not the real stuff.
I want the gel. I want the gel.
The gel. And the other thing that's
not
really
the juice.
Nice,
I want the gel.
Right. And no injections, none of that. And it's very affordable for women too, or for people. It's for men too. My husband's on it. And it's, again, price sometimes. I mean, sometimes price is an issue when you're doing a lot of bioidentical.
Well, yeah, it can be crazy.
It can be really expensive.
Have a very affordable, very reasonable doctor.
Yeah.
I love my doctor, Dr. Roz. She was on an episode. And I love her. She takes her time with you and she listens to what you have and she helps you. And I get a hug every time.
I love that. Yeah. Well, and because, like you said, she helped change your life. So
she did. And her book, Vejuvenation is her book.
Vejuvenation? And what's her name? I'm going to look her up.
Dr. Rosalind Jackson.
Rosalind Jackson. Okay. Yep. I would love to read that. Okay.
Yes. In Dayton, Ohio. I think Miamisburg area. But her book is really good too. So.
Okay. Awesome. And she's a naturopath? Is that?
She is a gynecologist, but she does all the natural, bioidentical hormones and vitamin B12 shots, all the good stuff.
If for all the ladies, if you can find a doctor like that has kind of taken it upon themselves to research and find out the other things that are out there other than just what they went to school for, that's the best kind of doctor you can find because then you're getting the best of both worlds. So that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. So everyone get out there, get on the mission, look and feel better in what?
Yes.
A short amount of time. I mean, just look at Susie Bills' transformation. And this is just knowing, getting out there and finding what she needed, going to a naturopath, taking charge of your own life and health.
Yep. You have to be your own advocate for sure. Definitely. Yes. And these days there's information. It's not that hard to get the information. But if you feel like something is wrong or off, but your doctor is telling you, no, you're fine, you're just getting old, find a new doctor. That's my final.
That's what I do.
That's what I had to do. So Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, it has been so great talking to you.
Me too.
I just loved connecting. This is one of my favorite topics because just watching my dad, I knew that there was a better, he was all about health trying new things and always excited about the next thing that he was going to do. And I think that's the way to live. And
Yeah.
so I just really thank you so much for all of your knowledge on anti-aging and just your heart today. It was just a great
Thank
talk.
you. Thank you. It was great to talk to you. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great day.
Thanks everybody for listening to the Sisterhood of Sweat, and check out the show notes because I'll put Susie's Instagram, Facebook handles, and how you can find the gel.
Perfect. Bye.
Bye.